back and show you the different, how hoppy or dry or sweet.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, some sort of scale.
We are live.
Talk Mess Munster podcast. We're here with Tyler Turner. He's a boat captain in Depot Bay, and you're part owner of the Dockside Charters?
That's correct. Yep, I am.
Right on, man. Good to have you.
Yeah, good to be on here.
You brought in some dry hard ciders, or enjoying a cider. Cheers.
I did. Cheers, man. Thanks for having me on board.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped, man. Like Kathy, I don't know how you know Kathy, but she's the one that got us hooked up. She's like, oh, I should have Tyler on. He's awesome. And then we were actually on your boat, I think, for the Fleet of Flowers.
Yeah, I think you were either on mine or my dad's boat, probably.
I can't remember. It was.
Can figure it out.
Maybe it was the Tackle Buster. It was cool. My boss's wife and daughters were on.
Nice.
No, was Kathy on with us? Yeah.
She was out there too, I think. But yeah, I know Kathy through just the Depot Bay community. I mean, it's a small town, so
yeah,
basically know everyone there.
And you grew up in Depot Bay?
Did. Born and raised Depot Bay, and left a couple times briefly, but I would come back a lot during those times, so I really don't count that time away from the town, you know.
Yeah, what a unique place to grow up. I mean, it's like a fishing town, but not in the same sense Newport is, right?
Right.
I mean, people aren't commercial fishing. They're not commercial fishing there.
Right. We have very few commercial boats, couple, but no, it's a charter fishing tourism town. You know, that's basically what we live off. Everyone lives off of.
Yeah.
And so without it, we'd be in pretty tough shape.
Yeah. Well, I like Depot Bay. It's kind of funny when you don't want to leave the county and you want to go somewhere. You're already at the beach, and I want to go have a day away or a night away. It's like Depot Bay is great. It's not Newport.
Right.
It's not Toledo. Stay at the Channel House. I think I stayed at the Channel House with my girlfriend before.
Great spot. Channel House, Whale Cove Inn. You can't go wrong with those two.
Oh, the Whale Cove Inn's cool.
Yeah.
I've never stayed there yet, but we like the jacuzzi tub with you could sit outside or whatever. And
Oh yeah, you're literally right there watching us come in, the channel, and watch whales right there and everything. I mean, right from the jacuzzi tub.
Yeah. So I thought it would be cool if you wanted to we'll just start out with, like, if you tell us your story. We had this article in the paper and kind of talked about it, and just like, do you think you would be where you are now? You doing the same thing?
Yeah, it's a good question, really. I mean, I really have two lives, so to speak, because, I had my motorcycle accident in June 27th, 2008. And, fishing and charter fishing and all that's always been a part of my life because my dad had, been a captain, some second generation there. And so that was always going to be in some, capacity. But, I was looking at doing some other things too. I was right out of high school and 20 years old, and I was going to community college and just trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do. Was looking into, electrical lineman school, as well as getting my captain's license and just being able to do that, fill in or doing it, during the summer and stuff too. And, but then, that morning of June 27th, I was going to the post office to change over my mail, and, a car pulled out in front of me right in town, right in Depot Bay there. And we didn't have a trip that day. And it was a nice sunny day in June. And, it gets pretty congested there in Depot Bay, as you probably know, going through town. And, it doesn't take a whole lot to get that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, well, like a lot of motorcycle accidents, people, they don't see you. And that's basically what happened. And I didn't really see the car either and didn't have time to react. And so basically, impacted as they were, basically like a T-bone, but they were trying to pull across the highway, and I really didn't have any place to go.
Yeah.
And because cars were parked, and then, there's two lanes. So there's another car coming, on that opposite far lane. And so I didn't have anywhere to go. And so I just kind of, quote unquote, rode it out. And when I came to, I was on the pavement there on 101 in Collins.
Yeah.
And I knew right as soon as because I was probably out for a few seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
It was kind of like being in a dryer or washing machine, with your eyes closed, just spinning around, and then all of a sudden you come to, and I couldn't feel anything from the waist down, and the feeling, that particular moment, like that it's a long-term thing.
Yeah.
Like I did immediately. I didn't know exactly what was going on or how bad it was or whatnot, but it was, I was in pretty tough shape at the time, and I didn't know if I was going to make it even right there either, because I couldn't breathe very well. The bike landed on top of me, and literally just fractured my sternum in half, and bruised lung and stuff, and so shock and everything going on, and so that was like obviously that moment in my life where everything changed. And I could talk a lot about that, but my dad was actually the third person on scene because he was retired.
Yeah.
Fireman and EMT and all of that, and he had scanner and stuff, and he knew I'd just left the house, and so he knew, you have that feeling, right? It's somebody, motorcycle right through town. Yeah. The timing was right. And so he jumped in his truck and drove down there, and I was there,
Oh man.
And so he opted out, and he beat the ambulance and everybody responding. But there was a really awesome couple that it was a husband and wife. One was a firefighter and one was a nurse. And so they hopped right out to me, and she put me in C-spine, and he got the bike off me and did whatever else he did, probably direct traffic or something, who knows.
Yeah.
But they stepped in, and then my dad started calling Life Flight, and then the fire, everybody started responding, so they got me stabilized and everything. But yeah, that day was pivotal. So it redirected a lot of my life, from that moment on.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to Pacific Communities Hospital, and then I was life flighted to Emmanuel.
Yeah.
So, and then spent that whole summer basically in the hospital. I had a surgery the next day to stabilize my spine because I fractured T4 and 5. So it's T4 spinal cord injury is technically what I ended up with, and paraplegic. It's what they say too. So, and I had to learn exactly what that meant. Like, a lot of people don't. If you're not around somebody in a chair, you don't, know, what that is or what that means. You see somebody in a wheelchair, they could be anything, and any type of injury. So many different things, right?
Oh yeah.
So I had to learn what my life was going to be like after that, but I don't know,
dude. How long before you got out of the hospital after the summer, and then what was you were like turned upside down, and you had to kind of figure out what to do?
Like I said, my whole life was redirected, and then I had to face the reality of living life in a chair, right? And in the beginning, you're pretty optimistic about everything, because I was young and in really good shape, and 20 years old, and I played lots of sports and worked out and always lived an active lifestyle. So I'm like, I can beat this, you know, and which was kind of my approach for the first couple of years. I went to really heavy rehab for advanced injury and in Beaverton, and stayed up there a little bit, but I'd also drive up once I was able to learn how to drive again too.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's so many different parts of the injury and stuff, but I really kind of took it head on as far as that's concerned, to try to see how my body would respond to it,
Yeah.
Because there are occasional spinal cord injuries that do come back, you know, just everyone is different. It's the spinal cord's pretty, interesting, fragile part of the body. And so, you know, I just had to see how my body was going to respond. And after a few years, I realized that, well, you know, maybe I need to redirect kind of my approach a little bit, and kind of, you know, as you go through life, you realize that you need to always keep maybe the exercise part of it and the rehab part, but maybe see where life's going to take you from there, you know, use it for that. But I had to figure out kind of where I was going to go, you know, and basically figuring out what motivated me. That was kind of like the biggest turning point too, because like you have to go through those stages of grief in the hospital. I mean, it's a rough time, you know, and so I went through all those stages, and I realized, you know, at some point that certain things are not sustainable, right? I mean, you get to a pretty dark place at some point.
Yeah.
And so I don't know exactly when that moment was, but I realized that, okay, like kind of a pep talk myself. Okay, I can either go down this road that usually doesn't end very well. And if you look up, you know, I actually knew one guy that I went to school with. He had a spinal cord injury, believe it or not.
Yeah.
He was like right a year behind me. And he whatever reason went down that other path, and, you know, he's not around anymore. So, you know, I realized that wasn't me at whatever point. And so, you know, I figured out basically what motivated me, and that was the ocean and fishing and that community, you know. And so I really focused in after that first year. Basically, it took me a year to, you know, get back to a place where I could focus on other things, you know. But then I realized I wanted to continue to be on the boat and fish, and, you know, I didn't quite know what that capacity was going to be like, because I was a deckhand at the time, and I wanted to get my license, but I was working towards that, actually, just with sea time and everything. But I didn't know what that was going to look like, especially in a chair now, because that's how I had to get around, was a wheelchair. And there was a guy at rehab that had straight leg braces. And so I kind of watched him for a little bit, and then I decided, well, I'm gonna get those, you know, because I could see him standing up, and he was able to walk around just a little bit with those, with very little, you know, movement in your legs, and more positional movement. And so I was able to get leg braces about 9 months or so after the accident, and I just started working with them every day, you know, whether it was just standing and watching TV, or listening to music, or standing at the, you know, a bar table and, you know, working on the laptop or whatever it was. I would just, you know, try to use it as a tool. And then eventually I realized that was going to be my tool to do exactly what I wanted to do, and to be a captain. And so I kept working through that. And it was 2009, that summer, that I started to kind of incorporate that onto the boat with my dad. Started going out, you know, a couple days a week, and just working back into it. You know, being out on the oceans, it's tough, you know, especially around here in the Pacific Northwest and Oregon, Washington. It's one of the roughest, you know, areas to work in on the ocean, other than like the Bering Sea and stuff, you know. So I had to work up to that.
Yeah, man. So you're working on the boat, and, you know, how long did it take you to kind of adapt? And like, you're kind of like, I'm good now. Like I can be on the boat, and I can handle it. And
it's funny you say that too, adapt, actually, because that's the name of the rehab facility that I went to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And which is funny. But yeah, it's called Adapt Training. It's for able-bodied or advanced injury clients. And through them, they really got me to a place where I was able to be physically ready to be out there. It was gradual. Like, so 2009, I was out there a little bit, and then 2010, I really started to get on the boat more days, like 3, 4, 5 days a week. And then by 2011, it was every day during the season.
Yeah.
And then 2011 was probably the big year for me that I realized that I can go after my captain's license. I had talked to enough people at that point, and I kind of knew I needed to test myself over a season to see if I could get through it,
Yeah.
because if I'm going to make that commitment, you have to be able to make, I don't do things half-ass. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So I had to see how my body was going to respond to it, because the body's completely different, now with a spinal cord injury. It reacts completely different than what I used to. So
Really?
yeah, I mean, just, I have leg spasms and it
Really?
reacts. Yeah. And so, I mean, yeah, you can get into all sorts of stuff with it, right? But so I have like spastic paralysis is kind of what it is too. So I have a lot of leg spasms. My sensation's probably like 50% or so. So
Yeah.
I feel things below the injury.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like I can't feel anything at all.
Yeah.
It's just a percentage of what you do probably. So you put like layers of clothes on, and
Yeah.
that's kind of maybe what it would be like a little bit more than just, touching your skin or something. So yeah, it's crazy. And like some spots I can feel a lot more than others. I mean, it's real.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's weird.
And that's different than like when you were 20.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's gotten a little bit better actually over the years.
Really?
But
so it's like
not a
super
lot, but-
slow, minimal healing kind of going on.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of scar tissue, I guess, built up in there. And yeah, it's an interesting process really,
you-
but
You did so this article talked about the Coast Guard, and you did this Coast Guard training. Is that the ADAPT thing you were talking about, or is that something else?
the DAPT was more of a preparation physically for me to do that.
Oh,
And so it really got me ready, plus what I would do on my own and then working on the boat too. All of this basically wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for my dad owning a charter boat, being in the industry his whole life basically. And, because he was the one spending time with me every day, helping me on the boat with the other deckhands and stuff as well. But helping me with my braces, standing at the wheel, obviously teaching me everything that he would teach, anyone else working to become a captain.
Yeah.
But so, he spent the most time with me. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be, in this situation, giving it away, but getting my captain's license, down the road. So, but yeah, I started with talking with the Coast Guard inspector, and then eventually started the application process because I had enough days to do the license, which is 720 for a 100-ton master license. And then that, obviously that's the easy part. I waited to do the school at the end. A lot of people do the school first and then work on the packet, but I actually did the schooling last just to make sure that I could pass the medical, because on paper, obviously it looks, pretty bleak for me, right?
yeah.
Physically, of being able to do the job. But the whole thing for me was I need to get these Coast Guard inspectors on the boat so they can see just what the situation looks like, see me hop around on the braces and walk a little bit and using the railings and different things to help, assist. But it took me 2 years to get to that point to where they were on the boat doing a sea trial and just seeing how I could physically, move around. So 2 years of talking with the Department of Homeland Security and National Maritime Center in West Virginia. Of course, Homeland Security is in Washington, D.C., but I was working with doctors back there, and we were emailing back and forth, and I was getting denial letter after denial letter, and, they would tell me that that's the process you have to go through, and sometimes I wouldn't hear back for, 3 or 4 months, and sometimes it'd be fairly quick. And so, yeah, it was a process for me.
Wow.
But eventually I was able, to push through, and they granted the license, and I did the actual testing part, which at that point was the easy part, for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a pretty cool day to get my license in 2013 now.
Oh,
so I've been doing it a little bit.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
So I think that, I was thinking back to the Fleet of Flowers, and I think that was you. Because we talked about, I think you were scheduled to be on the podcast before, and I knew enough to know, like, oh yeah, your situation is unique.
Right.
And I walked in, and I think that Kathy told me, like, oh, go say hi to Tyler. He's in there.
Oh, okay.
And I went and said hi. But you were standing, and I didn't I was like, is that I didn't, and then you also look a little different than right here.
Right.
That was the other thing. You look more like this.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, there was two things. Like, you're standing, like, it's got to be a different guy.
Yeah, that was actually an old picture. So, overtime, kids, and stress. I mean, right, adds up. But yeah, no, that was taken a while ago. But
yeah, you just a little bit more pale there. You a little more sun
right.
on this one. That's all.
But yeah, that was actually in like November, I think. So
yeah, this is actually what you look like. I was like, oh, that's it.
Right.
Dude, you were like, you're driving that boat like anybody else.
Yeah, it's funny you say that too, because a lot of people that come out on the boat don't know. I don't advertise it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And if somebody asks about it, a lot of people do know me now over the years because we have a lot of repeat customers and word of mouth and things. And there is a little article on the table on the boat, just if people are curious,
Yeah.
It's a little different. I'm not like hopping around the boat and, picking fish off the hook and netting fish and things like that. I'm pretty stuck at driving the boat, and I'm always in the bridge, right? And which is actually, it's beneficial for the customers because I'm always watching, whether there's fish around or what fish are coming in and whether we need to move the boat. And so I'm constantly ready, to do that. And I have 2 deckhands running around. And so, we have a pretty good setup, but yeah, I don't advertise it. I don't want to, I just want to be me. Sure. I just want to be me at the wheel,
That's so cool though, because like I didn't even know. I couldn't even tell.
Right. Yeah, and I have my jeans over the straight leg braces.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Their braces, they're form fitted, carbon fiber, and stainless steel. And
yeah.
Things like that. So they're nice.
So like when we were out in the boat with you, now that I know that was you, because I was just like I was kind of confused, but like I've been in and out of that Depot Bay, 2 or 3 times, and man, you guys just like haul ass.
It's a unique spot. Yeah, the hole in the wall. Yeah. No, literally. I mean, I obviously grew up here and in the business, and there are a lot of captains up and down the coast that will not go into Depot Bay just, because it is so small. And, it's what I know. And so I'd rather go into Depot Bay than, Newport on a big ebb or, Garibaldi or something like that.
Yeah.
I'd rather do Depot Bay on a big bar, but that's what I know. And I've spent hours studying videos, and my dad and I would sit up there, or just I would sit up there and just watch, over the course of the year, different swell periods, and durations and different tides and you name it. I mean, I've studied it, because it makes a difference when you're sitting out there waiting to get in, whether you're scared to death or you have, a different level of stress but confident, in yourself and the boat and everything. And, there are some days where, it makes a difference whether you go out there or not and you make money, or you take your clients out there and, feel comfortable and they're comfortable with you.
Yeah.
And so, I figured that one out pretty early, that I needed to study and be a student of the bar and Depot Bay in the middle ground and how, waves react and just all of it. It's a lot more than just fishing. There's a lot more going on than just catching fish.
So how big does it have to be for the Coast Guard to close the bar? Or is it kind of like there's like a gray area in the middle before they close it?
Right. Yeah, they have different restrictions, for different lengths of vessels based on the tide and the swell height and swell direction. and stuff like that. So, when things start to get up to like 8 feet and up, then we really start to analyze, the swell direction and, the frequency of the waves and things like that. So, in Depot Bay, you can have, a swell out of the southwest and it's 10, 12 feet and you can still go out there.
Because it cuts it out?
Yeah, South Point, the way it kind of sticks out there, it blocks it. And, but a swell right out of the west at 8 feet at certain second, like say 15 seconds, it could completely tear it up in there.
It's like a long interval.
So, there's a lot of water movement through there,
but like
it could be breaking in the channel, and it's like, we're not going anywhere.
But if it's like 15 seconds, I mean, can you kind of time it, or is it just not worth the risk? Because you've got so much time in between.
Right. In Depot Bay, because of the reef structure there, the way when there's that much water moving, it completely tears it up. I mean, if you go there and watch it in the channel, and doesn't mean we can't get through it, if it's 8 feet or whatever. But if it's like 10, 12 feet out of the west, it's going to be pretty gnarly in there and unsafe the boats can handle it. Yeah. The captains can maybe handle it. Some days stress level would be extremely high. Yeah. We watch the Coast Guard go through that stuff all the time, but as far as customers and what we're doing, it's not worth it. There's always another day, it's an interesting piece. I mean, there are a lot of people that love going out of Depot Bay just because, boom, you go from the harbor right out into the ocean, then you're ready to go, and you can fish within a few minutes if you want. And other people, they probably don't want to go to Depot Bay because it's scary for them. But, for all of us in there, we know exactly what we're doing. We've been doing it for years, and it's a unique port in that way, or, harbor.
Oh, it's cool. I mean, I've only been in there just a few times, usually to film other people doing whatever they're doing, like charter fishing or whale watching. And you do whale watching as well, right?
Do a lot of whale watching. Yeah, I was actually out today, and a lot of whales out. The residents are here, which is awesome. Finally in June, and we see a lot of them migrating through in March and April. But there's usually a little bit of a period in May where can be pretty spotty. Like we might see a whale one day, we might go a couple days without 3, whatever. But now we're starting to see 1 to 4 whales a day, and right off of town feeding, and so they're here, and that's Depot Bay relies a lot on whale watching, and whether people coming through town and just watching from the seawall and grabbing a bite or whatever, going through the shops and going to the whale center and just sitting out there watching, they it's a huge draw for people.
That's kind of crazy though. Like just, whale watching, like we just go out in the water and look for whales. It's like,
oh yeah.
I mean, I've done
people
it
love it.
before.
What was that?
Yeah.
I've gone out Depot Bay whale watching before, out into the ocean, like through the bay. It was fun. I loved it.
Did you see any of the?
I did. I saw a whale. I don't know what kind of whale it was, but I did see a whale.
Yeah, it's probably a gray whale, but we've had a lot of orcas or killer whales through the area this year, which is, I mean, we get them every year. It's just, maybe 2 or 3 times, over the course of a whole year. Or this year, it's literally been a couple times a week or once a week for the last, 6, 7 weeks or so.
It seems like it's a little bit more.
It is, yeah. And we, you've probably seen on Facebook, they have like a Facebook page where they can track and people are networking where the orcas are. And they're like, they're in Yachats right now, 10:48 in the morning. Which it's cool. I mean, for everybody to see, And, but yeah, they've gone through Depot Bay a few times. They've gone into Equina, apparently.
I saw like I don't know if it was like a pod, if you wouldn't call them a pod, but I think 6 or 7 or 8. It was like a bunch, and there was like a little baby one, and there was like a big one, and
it was crazy. The other day we had one in Boiler Bay, just one, and then all of a sudden we took the passengers up there, and it literally came right at the boat, jumped out of the water, swam under the boat. and west, because we were pretty close to the rocks at the time, and it swam west, and it met up with like 4 or 5 more that we didn't even know. We didn't know they're out there. Yeah, and so probably figured it was scouting, or I mean, they're very intelligent, right? And so they can send little trackers and things. But then that one met up with the others, and they just cruised down the coastline. But there was definitely an alpha male in there, and
that was the orca, or is that?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's so cool.
It was really cool. Everybody,
I bet they're so stoked.
Yeah, people freak out when they see them.
Ah!
It's they're common in Alaska and all of that, but
yeah.
not as much down here.
You ever see like I know we have other kinds of whales that you don't see as much, like humpbacks, but like you ever see any humpbacks?
You see a lot of humpbacks usually. When we're going offshore, halibut or tuna fishing, or
a little further
doing
off.
other fisheries offshore, they're usually always out there. Just how far, whether it's 10 miles or 30 miles.
How far out do you go?
Oh, we'll go up to almost 40 miles offshore.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it's a different. I mean, especially in the summertime, if the tuna are out there, I mean, it's blue water. It's the closest thing we get to like big game fishing around here. Albacore and stuff, but
I bet that's so fun.
It's cool. You see all sorts of stuff out there, from dolphins to humpback whales and blue sharks on the surface, and salmon sharks, and yeah, it's cool. You can see a thresher once in a while, but
whoa,
yeah, it's neat out there. I mean, if you don't get seasick, it's a fun trip to do, just because you don't know what you're gonna see out there, experience.
I mean, so you're is it the helm that you're at? Is that what they call it?
Could be, yeah, the helm.
My boat.
It's like the
vocabulary.
bridge, and then you have the helm.
Oh, it's just
within
like right
the bridge.
next to it. Oh, okay. So the bridge, that's where your steering wheel or whatever. Even though people don't really use that anymore, do they? Are they the big wheel?
On the charter boats, we do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, but I also have it's not a jog stick, but it's a autopilot with like a knob, and you can just turn the knob and steer the boat.
It seems kind of like it's like, oh, just gonna me and make a giant.
There's even
thing.
like a remote control too, but
can you like hook your phone up to it and like drive
you probably
the boat with your
can.
phone?
That's kind of my dad's retirement plan, I think. But sit at the house and just drive the boat with his probably headphones like this and a screen, and yeah, I think that's his ideal time for retirement.
Man, is it fun? I mean, driving a boat, like it seems.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's really cool. I never get tired of that. I get tired of the weather, the wind, and the waves. Especially when you get tired, or if you get a customer that's kind of tough or drunk or something that's just being obnoxious, then you get tired of those things. But you never get tired of the things that you see, and driving the boat and seeing fish come in and people smiling. When they're doing those things, you never get tired of that part.
Dude, when I saw you on the boat, dude, you're just like in the zone. That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
It's just like you're like there and you're just doing it. And
well, and you have to be like, I mean, you can be laid back and we can chat like this, and bullshit and stuff, but you have to be in a certain zone, because you have, like, in that case, we had 45, 50 people on there.
Yeah.
And when you leave the dock, it's they're your responsibility, right? So
yeah.
You have to have a certain level or heightened awareness at that point.
Is it like the captain's license? Is that what they call it? Captain's license? Is that treated kind of like a pilot's license for the FAA, the airplane license?
Not quite. I mean, it's not as high of a, schooling and things like that, really. I mean, it's more of a trade school type of a thing, I mean, you'd have to put your time in. 720 days. It takes a little bit to get that, right?
720 days, like a couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and some years you might only be able to put 200 days in on the ocean, and this kind of depends on how committed you are.
I guess you wouldn't be there every day.
Right. You're dealing with weather and just, you have to have a trip to get out there.
And you can get that time just being like a deckhand or something.
Yep. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's technically a merchant mariner license is what they say, captain's license.
Yeah.
But
I got a friend who went to a merchant marine school, Cape Cod, and
there's so many different levels of licenses out there. From 100 ton, 200 ton. There's a 6-pack license. There's 50 ton, and then it goes up to all these different ones. Yeah. Eventually, work up to unlimited.
Okay, so
You know.
and then you're driving like are you,
Cruise ship.
Yeah,
you
cruise
know,
ship.
Bar. Once you get up there, bar pilot's kind of like one of the highest things you can
bar
do.
pilot. So is it like one of those big ones? I mean, do you know? Is it like one person that drives that thing? Is it drive or pilots? What do you call it?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter
I
to
always
me,
think about
but
it like I'm driving it. Like you don't drive an airplane. You
steer
it. Like with a train too. Like a train.
right.
They just make it go forward or backwards. They don't really drive it. Like they just kind of throttle or not throttle.
Right.
It's like, what do you call this?
Yeah,
But the big ones, is it just one person, or do they have like a bunch of people kind of doing
as far as
it?
the bar pilot thing,
Yeah.
they'll like the Columbia River, they'll fly, either take them out by boat and they'll hop on whatever ship's coming in, and then they'll be in charge of navigating. They probably, maybe won't touch any of the controls even. It's just sheer knowledge of the area.
Oh.
So they'll say go 5 degrees or 10 degrees to the port, and they'll steer it, but they're not actually physically maybe steering it.
So
but
somebody else may be steering it, and they're just telling them what to do.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly. I mean, it's local knowledge, and
So
they'll fly them out there too
Yeah.
with a helicopter if it's rough enough, and they can't get the pilot boat out there. But
So
it's a pretty cool job. I mean, it's intense.
it seems pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that's kind of I think the highest other than cruise ship, but you can get
With have you been? How many bars up the Oregon coast have you been in? Like most.
quite a
of them?
few from like I've been from LA. We port hopped when my dad bought his boat, so we went like Marina del Rey. We went to Ventura, Morro Bay, Half Moon Bay, Fort Bragg, Eureka, California, San Francisco. I've been into, and
You go under the bridge? Is that how it works, or is there another one?
yeah, no, you go out through there.
Oh, was that cool?
Yeah. Actually, the boat that I bought in 2020 is from. That's a whole nother story too. From San Francisco Bay. It was pretty. Mainly the captain was more legendary than the boat, but the boat and the name and the
Yeah.
it's all kind of one. But
Who did you buy it from?
so a lady named Jackie, and when I bought it in 2020 in January, she was 92 years old. And a legend down there. She had the boat built in 1976, and she was a salmon fanatic down there in the salmon heydays of San Francisco, and I'm sure she was probably one of the only female captains, if not the one. Extremely tough lady, about 5 foot, barely, and she was a legend. She got the nickname Wacky Jackie. And I know there are a lot of stories. I haven't heard very many or any of them really, but that was also the name of the boat.
Wacky Jackie.
Wacky Jackie.
So you bought Wacky Jackie.
Yeah.
And that's what you got?
And so, yeah. And I renamed it because she, basically she didn't want to sell to anyone in San Francisco because she wanted to see that boat go away. She didn't want to see her boat, still running without her, type of a thing.
She was so attached. She was
Yeah,
just like,
and there was a lot of people that wanted to buy. I mean, there was a line of people ready to buy that thing. And
wow.
she, I knew her through a mutual friend because the charter industry, like commercial boats too and stuff. There's a whole network of people up and down the coast, and just talking with a friend of mine, he's like, yeah, she's basically ready to sell her, but more like she needs to sell.
Oh yeah.
To retire.
Yeah.
And she still had her license too at 92, and would still hop on the boat every couple days. And she didn't run full time at 92, but
Yeah.
she would hop on with the hired captain and stuff still and drive the boat and hang out with all the customers because she had a huge following of people that literally would drive for hours or even fly in just to go with her. And it's kind of funny because a few of those clients have actually come up to Oregon and come fishing with me knowing that that's the boat.
No way.
Yeah.
And is that the Tackle Buster?
It's the Surf Rider.
Oh, it's the Surf Rider.
Yeah.
So that's your boat?
That's my boat.
I've seen the Surf Rider. That's a beautiful boat.
Yeah, thank you. We did a big refit on it because it was in kind of tough shape, and also wanted to make it my own, and you know, that was her boat, and I needed to make it mine, you know, and I had, I guess, enough respect for her too that I wanted to. That was her thing, and I wanted the boat to kind of have a new life, and so we did. But no, it was a really cool process, and just kind of the way it fell or came together.
Yeah.
She was that day that we, you know, decided that it was going to work out and everything. She was like kind of crying, and
Yeah.
I mean, all not like really upset about everything, but just kind of the whole, that was her career there, and her, you know, an extension of her. I mean, that's kind of what the boat is when you hop on and you start driving. It's an extension of you, you know. That's kind of the approach, and so it was a tough day for her, but it was also a good day, I think, where she could take a step back finally and you know, reflect on her career and everything. And she's done a lot of publicity down there and TV shows and news report. I mean, you can look her up, Wacky Jackie, San Francisco. You'll find a bunch of stuff.
Hey,
on
Dayton,
her.
can you see if we can get a picture of this lady, Wacky Jackie?
Right on it.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, Wacky Jackie. Wacky Jackie's story, dude. This is cool.
Oh, it's a whole nother thing. Yeah, I actually have a friend of mine that he kind of does some whole social media stuff on the side, but he actually called down and it's like trying to get an interview with her. Just you know, and she has a lot of stories. But
you got a nickname?
I don't. I didn't actually. I'm sure that my crew have plenty of nicknames for me, but I don't at this time.
Dude, you I didn't actually know your last name until today.
Oh, really? Yeah.
No, I was like, what? I mean, I know Tyler's coming on, but what's the last name?
Right.
Turner, man. It's like a pirate name.
Is that? Yeah, right.
I mean, it's like super cool.
I know, right? Pirates of the Caribbean. I know. I first watched that movie. I was like, wait, what? No, it is funny.
No, that's like totally dope, though, man. You're like made for the sea.
I brought up a picture.
That's her. That's the surf rider before it was refitted. But
oh no way, that's it.
She's at the helm, of her boat.
This is the Wacky Jackie here. Let's see if I can expand on this at all. Oh, yeah, here we are. NorCalFishReports.com.
Oh, we can check the report.
Yeah, or you can do like Google Images and stuff too. You know, you'll be able to see a lot of pictures of her. But yeah, she's quite the lady.
Here's a good one.
Yep, that's what it was like back in the day, and
that must have been like, you said she bought in the 1970s.
She had it built in 1976. So
you're second owner,
right? Which is very rare with these Delta boats. You know, they go through the owners usually, but
God, the boats in Depot Bay are so beautiful. Like, I'm used to the ones in Newport. You know, they're just big fishing vessels, and they vary quite a bit. You know, you got like the Orca, which is this old wooden boat,
right?
The crustiest crew and captain I've ever met in my life.
It's pretty cool. You see everything in Newport, which I kind of like that. You know, you see some extremely beautiful, you know, boats that have been refitted or sponsored and things that's, you know, they've spent millions of dollars doing that. And then you have your old salmon trollers and, you know, just a piece of history, really.
Oh, it's super cool. You know, the longer I'm here, because I came originally to the Central Coast because of surfing. It's like, I want to surf. I love surfing.
Right.
I love being in the ocean. You know, I grew up thinking the Oregon coast was cold, nasty, and awful, and it is. But I didn't know you could go in if you did it right. You know,
right.
But now it's like the saltier the better. Like I discovered Astoria. Right. You know, like I heard of it, and it's like, man, this place is so salty.
Yeah,
you know, I'm just gonna give myself a cut and just pour some Astoria in there. You know, it's so good.
Oh yeah, no, Coos Bay is kind of that way in its own way too. Charleston.
Charleston's pretty crusty.
It's crusty down there. It's a good word to use.
Well, I actually went to school in Coos Bay, North Bend.
Okay, so
we used to joke, you know, like, meth capital of the world, we're number one at something, woo, you know. Not anymore, though. I don't think they...
Some would say the armpit of the Oregon coast, but, you know.
It's super weird,
for negotiation there.
Oh, yeah. What would you say the second armpit is?
Right.
There's two armpits, right?
That's true.
Dude, okay, I was gonna ask you. So speaking of Newport and the boats over there, did you hear about the Western Breeze?
I did, yeah. No, it was sad to hear about that. Of course, we'd all probably seen that boat on the
On the
Dungeon
dangerous,
Cove and
yep,
stuff, which
yep.
is cool. And Gary, but yeah, it was sad. I don't know if they're gonna be able to bring it back or
Are you serious?
not. I don't. I mean, it's out of water, I believe now. They brought it up, and
Yeah, yeah.
I saw a picture of it being pushed ahead, up the river and stuff. But
They brought it to
that,
Toledo.
yeah, once a boat goes under like that, I mean, it's a gut. You have to
yes.
start
Oh.
the shell.
Mhm,
It's obviously probably okay, but there's a lot. I mean, it wasn't down, but what, probably 12 hours maybe, or maybe, I don't know.
Oh,
There was
no.
a 24-hour period where it was down, I think, but they were pretty quick to get it back up, I believe. But
And I think it was somebody left like a valve open or something.
yeah, that's what it sounds like.
And I heard at first I heard all sorts of different things, but it sounded like the last thing I heard was that they shouldn't have even been messing with the valve,
Right.
or whatever that is. I don't even know what that is. I'm just like parroting what I heard.
Yeah, it sounds like one on one of the fish holds or multiple holds or something like that. I'm not sure how the boat's set up, but yeah, I mean, you shouldn't have an experienced crew member doing any of that, and maybe he wasn't supposed to. I don't know the whole story, so I can't really
Yeah, me neither.
talk necessarily too much about it, but it's really unfortunate that it happened. You hate to see any boat go down. There've been a few boats go down here in the last 10 years or so. One of them was the Chevelle, went right there on the North Jetty.
Oh, that was a
And
more
it had
recent one, right?
Yeah, it had an engine. Something happened with the engine or something like that, and it lost power on the bar. It was fairly crappy, I think, that day. And
Oh man, on the bar.
And,
it's like the worst place.
yeah, or right outside or something, to where it kind of got sucked in and onto the North Jetty. And I remember driving out to the South Jetty and with the binocs and looking at it and just watching it, because it was a big storm after that, and
Yeah.
just the waves ripping it apart, and it was it just makes you sick. And then the other one that was pretty sad was, I mean, there had been a lot of boats go down and people pass away and stuff too,
Yeah.
which is just horrible. I mean, it seems like you hear one every year, knock on
Yeah.
wood, you don't, and I think this year was,
I don't think I heard anything.
yeah,
No,
not
nothing.
right locally,
Yeah.
within our kind of central Oregon coast, I believe. But another one was the Blazer. That was a big, producer for Newport for years.
Yeah.
And when that thing went down, that was sad too. Fortunately, nobody was lost. They were able to get all five, I think, crew members. But I was actually able to find through a network and getting coordinates and stuff. I actually found the Blazer on the bottom
You did?
of the ocean. Yeah, I was given coordinates, and we were salmon trolling one day, and I went out there, and sure enough, I mean, literally like flat bottom for miles around it, in either direction, and all of a sudden you see right on the coordinates this little bump,
Yeah.
and
is
you can see, and I've actually dropped the line down in there, and you lose some gear. There's a couple of fish, but they had like 500 pots on board, and all sorts of rigging and stuff, and so yeah, that was interesting to see. It was kind of surreal, like your own little expedition thing that you went on. But then other boats have looked at it too, but I haven't been out there in a few years. But that should create an artificial reef out there. There's some other wrecks and
How deep was it?
things. It was in about 66 fathoms.
Okay.
So times that by 6 feet. But yeah, it was.
That's decently deep.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like, is that
no?
more?
They were getting ready to set pots that night. It was like in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, it was stormy that night, but I don't know exactly, but I think they hadn't secured all 500 just right on the back deck, and things shifted when they hit a wave, and it listed the boat far enough to where they couldn't recover from it. It was probably like 15 feet that night and blowing like 35 or something, I believe, but
Yeah.
it was an interesting one. I remember listening on the radio at night, in December or whenever it was, November, December, probably. But yeah, it was interesting.
Dude, that's crazy. I've got this. I want to do this documentary on shipwrecks on the Oregon coast.
Yeah, especially now with some of the other stuff coming up.
Oh, you heard about the beeswax ship?
Yeah, was it the It was like in Manzanita or close to it.
Yeah, I heard it was in a cave, and they didn't want to say where it was exactly.
Right.
But I don't think there's anything left.
I read a quick article on it, and it sounded like they were able to extract some of it or all of what they could see or have access to. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
I think it's super fascinating, but like for me, as you know, for like a documentary, I want it to be more about not just like the old ones, because the old ones are really cool, but like the whole, like what you're talking about, like the danger of going out and like the different conditions that you have to get through and the different reasons, like even the Western Breeze. That's like, here's a shipwreck right here in the harbor, you know,
right.
for a pure negligence or whatever.
Right.
But like, I was interviewing a guy at the Coast Guard station, and it's a funny story. His name's Kevin. He retired from the Coast Guard here in Newport, and it was still like during COVID, and he's like, "Oh no, I know everybody," you know. So we just like walked in there, and like we were hanging out over by the Victory. You're familiar with the Victory? And,
yeah.
And
that's a cool boat.
And then the CEO comes down after we're like done interviewing, and we went in the boat, like filmed him hanging out. Like he showed me the engines, which are crazy.
Yeah, well, that boat's cool too. It's I think it might be out of service now or very soon.
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah,
they towed it up to
okay.
The port in the Washington side of the Columbia. There's like
a
little station there or something.
Oh, okay.
And then I don't know what happened.
Waco or something.
But we were there. We were there the night they towed it. It was like 2 a.m.
Wow.
And they just
took it
they
out.
didn't turn it on. They're like, they towed it all the way up there.
Oh,
and
probably because it was going to take a while to get up there. Might as well start.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what time you start, I guess. But
I don't know. Like the what is that guy's name now? He's the old CEO from a long time ago. He's the Master Chief.
Oh, okay.
He was kind of. I heard he like did this whole poem thing, and he wasn't very happy. They towed it out without telling him.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Might be easier that way for some, maybe not, but nostalgic purposes, I guess. But
yeah, I don't know. The whole thing with him is weird because he's got so much respect for everything he's done, and I don't really understand. It's like there's like so much military stuff, and
right.
But like the whole story with all of the boats, like the Coast Guard boats, and going out and saving them, and like he's got crazy stories going out there. And he says, "Oh yeah, we towed one boat and sunk like for 40 miles or some crazy amount, like, and it just, like it sank and we pulled on it, or no, maybe there's a float." And
right.
I can't tell the story nearly as well as he does. He's just full of stories.
They have a lot, and the guys in Newport, Kona Bay, they're busy. There's a lot of boat traffic going on between the commercial and the wreck and charter too, but they're busy, and Depot Bay helps out a lot. I feel bad for them because they don't have as much to do, for us, especially in the winter. They have some crab boats, that are in their maybe area or range where they can help out and stuff, but they're, as far as in the springtime and summertime, they get, if the ocean's nice, they get a lot of small boat traffic that might go out, weekend warriors that, lose an engine or something, and they get to tow them in and stuff. But
have you ever had to go out and help somebody out, or like? My
dad's helped a lot of people over the years, and he's picked a surfer off the beach. They got sucked, not off the beach, but they got sucked out from the riptide or whatever, currents and stuff. And got pulled out, and he was getting pretty cold at that point. And and he brought him on the boat and his board and everything, and drove him back to Depot Bay and met his parents, and
he was surfing in Depot Bay.
He was off of Lincoln City, I believe, or Lincoln Beach or something.
Okay. He could have been. Yeah, there's some places.
He was out far enough to where, and they didn't have the jet skis launched or whatever. He was right there, I think, is what happened. He was within a half a mile and closest, so he just grabbed him real quick.
Do you know any of those folks that do the big wave surfing or whatever?
I don't, but
like Jeremy Rasmussen.
Okay,
he lives in Depot Bay.
Okay, I do know Jeremy.
Dude, he's hardcore, dude.
Yeah,
hardcore local.
Right,
he's cool.
No, but the Oregon coast, especially Depot Bay, Nelscott, it's getting pretty big. I mean, people from all over the world come to the Nelscott, reef one. And that's right where we do a lot of our fishing too, which is kind of funny.
Well,
like on nice days, we're fishing right there where those, 30 footers are at, which is funny. But
well, so actually, I hear, Dan Hasselschwert, him and Ollie Richardson helped pioneer that spot. I can't give them all the credit. I mean, this is just from what I know, but yeah. And he was explaining that Nelscott Reef's name it's not Nelscott Reef. It's called Tackle Buster.
Well, that's funny you say that because Nelscott's, there's a lot of reef right in there, but that's, I think, the main reef they surf. There's another reef outside of that. Basically, it's a little south, depending on where you're at.
Oh, or is it South Reef?
But it's called Tackle Buster, but it's offshore, like a mile and a half or so.
Uh-huh.
And but you, on a big wave day, you could probably surf waves on that. And it does break out there. I don't know if you necessarily want to, but
Not
you
me,
probably
man.
could.
Not me.
Right? But there's some other spots too that I've seen, not tow in, but Boiler Bay even, there have been a few people.
Scott's Reef.
Okay, there you go. And yeah, even
That's like a killer, dude.
I about lost it one day. I'd gotten in a wreck because somebody was surfing Whale Cove or close to it on a rough day, a big swell day, not a lot of wind, and that blew me away. I'd never seen anybody surf that, but
dude, that's so sketch.
It's awesome. I mean, it's an awesome waves, but it's super sketch.
Dude, like you got to have a jet ski to surf like a ton of different spots out there. If you got a jet ski like anywhere where there's like a freaking rock underwater, you can go out and surf it. And I wish I could get a jet ski, but it's like, I don't know.
You have to trust somebody to be able to handle it too.
Yeah, it's like a real team thing. Right?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's interesting. That's cool though.
Actually, which is funny. Have you heard? Do you know who Christian Otter Bailey is?
It rings a bell, but I wouldn't.
He either is or was captain of the Olympic surf team, but like,
okay.
He also doesn't have the use of his legs.
Oh, really?
And so, we got to see him surf out there. Like I think he got towed or something, but like just crushing it. And
that's cool.
I know.
I'll have to look him up.
Yeah, Christian Otter Bailey, super cool dude. I met him in Coos Bay. They were doing like this vet event where they take vets out, or folks that maybe don't have full use of their extremities.
Like a paralyzed vet type organization or something.
And dude, it's such a cool, these super cool events, and it was just really cool. Like I didn't realize, like it's kind of like you, like this guy's super high level, and nothing stops him.
Right.
He
just wants to be part of the guys, right? I mean, he doesn't want people to look down or look at him a certain way, probably.
Dude, he's got the fanciest wheelchair I've ever seen. Dude. It's like the freaking, I was kind of wondering what you had. It was like
mine's pretty beat up from the ocean and just, I go through like one every 3 to 5 years. They don't hold up. If they used all stainless parts, I'd probably be in good shape, but they don't. They don't exactly build them for the coast or working on the ocean.
Oh, dude, the salt air, dude. I know what you mean. I'm out there with like cameras and stuff, and the salt air, like I'll get like a buildup of salt on it, or like a drone or something. Like the propellers will start getting a salt crust on there.
Oh, jeez.
And I've been out there filming by the waves. And if it's at all like kind of I don't even know. I just like starting to get a sense of how it works. But like salt just like builds on everything, and sand gets in everything. And it's like if you clean your lens with a piece of sand on there,
I know. Yep.
You're screwed.
It's like you go through sunglasses too, like one a year or every couple of years, just because of the salt or sand in there. Yeah.
I don't wear sunglasses that much, so I guess I just don't. I haven't seen that
on the ocean. You have to have polarized glasses to be able to see down into the water at all. I mean,
so you're looking down in the water. That's how.
Yeah, I mean, some days it's clear enough where you can look down 20, 30 feet, 10 feet often, but some days you can't. But if you're working on the water at all, polarized glasses are absolute must.
So, I was about to ask you, like, so you went on all these different bars, like.
Yeah, I've been up to Westport and I haven't been to Garibaldi. I mean, in reality, a lot of commercial guys, they've been to every port and multiple times
Yeah.
and stuff. But we're charter fishing in Depot Bay, and so unless there's a real circumstance where you need to go to all these ports, or you're bringing a boat up or down, then you really don't. I mean, especially with fuel prices now, you're not just going to go for a cruise, a little day or two trip, with your boat. But yeah, Garibaldi would definitely be. That's a scarier one, I think, with the sandbar and things are changing. Where Depot Bay, it's not. It's rock.
Yeah.
And so it's the same every year. Not that you get it figured out, but it's not changing. And where other places you need to get dredged, and maybe it's not dredged for a while, and it needs to be. And so that's the part where with Depot Bay that that's where I'm more comfortable with that, and a lot of other captains that work in the harbor are more comfortable with Depot Bay.
So once you kind of get it, maybe there's like a pretty gnarly learning curve. But once you got it, it's like
exactly.
You just gotta
and you practice
it
and you do it enough, then you get it.
But so what's the danger of going in another bar like I don't know Quina or I don't know the Columbia or something like that?
I mean, for me, just knowing how waves respond under certain circumstances, and
it's that much different than the ocean, just being out in the ocean.
Yeah, and just with the different ebb tides and that. Oh yeah, I mean, waves change when they get close to shore, and with the currents and tide ripping out, and I mean, it can get really gnarly.
Have you ever had any like sketchy situations? Like I read this book called The Wave by Susan Casey, and it's like about big wave surfing and also rogue waves. And so she goes all about all the waves, and there's these crazy tsunamis that hit Alaska, and like 1,000 feet high,
Right.
And these like archaeologists, they're like saying this. It's like, is that real? I don't know, but like, have you ever seen any of these rogue waves?
I think what's the definition of a rogue wave? It's like has to be at least twice the size or twice the height of, whatever the normal wave height is for that particular time.
Really?
I think it's, I don't know, you can look it up or something, but it's, it's obviously a wave that's, distinctively larger than what you're dealing with. And I've heard quite a few rogue wave stories. One of them, I think affected, the Progress, which is a local friend of mine. It was his old boat, and it blew all the windows out. It like peeled the top of the cabin, the aluminum back, and steel, and it was big, like a big deal for a 135-foot boat to get a wave, to come over the top and do that. It was in Alaska, but I mean, it was one of those type of situations, I believe, and it caused severe damage to where they had to tow it down here and go to Fred Wall and get it, refitted, millions of dollars and stuff, which is, a good opportunity for them to completely remake the boat. But to get there, I mean, they took a huge wave, and
oh man.
No, I mean, definitely believe in rogue waves. I mean, it's a thing. It's not.
Yeah, here's the definition right here. Rogues, called extreme storm waves by scientists, are those waves which are greater than twice the size of surrounding waves, are very unpredictable, and often come unexpectedly from directions other than prevailing wind and waves.
Right. So close, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know about I didn't know about the double size thing. I guess.
Right.
So are you superstitious at all?
I don't know if I'm superstitious. I believe in like momentum and momentum change shift, right? You can tell like when you're doing well and fishing's going well, and then all of a sudden, we drift fish a lot, right? We don't anchor up, or we're not commercial fishing, so we're not like doing a tow or anything, but you can tell when momentum is changing.
Oh.
And so I believe in that part of it. I don't believe in like the banana thing or other superstition.
What's the banana thing?
Just that it's unlucky to have a banana on the boat, and it goes back.
What? I've
like
never
you can
heard
look
of that. What?
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, you can look that up too. I mean, it's a whole thing.
No bananas on the boat.
Yeah, I mean,
if you see somebody with a banana, you're like, eh.
Yeah, I mean, we get it, and people take them on there just because they know about it, and they're like, yeah, see, it doesn't mean anything.
You're like, nah, dude, don't mess with it.
Right.
Come on, let's be cool.
Yeah, but no, I mean, it dates back to like the shipping days at some point, and
Really?
yeah, but it really doesn't have any. it's just old superstition. But you can find there are a couple different things with sailing ships and bananas and stuff like that. Yeah, it's
Have
silly.
you ever brought a banana on the boat?
Me personally, I probably have. I don't necessarily think about doing that, but people do it all the time. It's fine.
I mean, I actually, if I'm not like talking like on the phone or something, I don't step on cracks, man. I don't know what it is.
That's a good one.
I just like,
It's like in baseball when you don't step on the chalk line, right? When you step onto the field, you don't step on the line. You have to step over it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, I just don't know. It's like
I know, and then you watch like Deadly Sketch and stuff, and
yeah.
Captain Keith and the Wizards like knocking on all his little bobblehead dolls and stuff. I think that's probably for the show, but
yeah,
some people are like that. It's not me. I think preparation and hard work and a little bit of luck helps too.
Yeah.
Sometimes things just go your way and sometimes they don't. But
speaking of like go your way or not, so like it looks like the economy is gonna blow up or whatever. Like, are you noticing any difference, like with gas and like
I mean,
tourism?
It's still a little early, but obviously it's affecting everyone. And fuel prices, whether it's in the tanks of the cars or now with the boats. I mean, we're dealing with $6.34 a gallon. It's going up to $6.85.
And what's normal?
Either it already did. I haven't fueled up yet, but I will here soon. But well, during COVID, it was like $2.30.
Oh, so it's
a gallon. It was $2.03 at one point.
Wow.
And then it got up like last year. It was anywhere from $3. It was in the threes.
Okay.
Excuse me. Yeah, it was. Now it's. I mean, it's double. And I've heard rumors it's supposed to get up to 7.5, 8.
Uh-huh.
And I know some areas like in San Francisco and stuff, it's already there, but we're usually $1 plus less than them.
Okay.
They're usually San Francisco and Hawaii are the highest around here on this side, and probably New York and those places are crazy, like 10, but who knows? But it's an issue.
I just saw a buddy from New Zealand, and they measure them like in liters, not gallons. But he was like, it's like the equivalent, and this is like for cars, but like it sounds like the boat fuel is similar price to diesel, right? Regular diesel, right?
Right, and we're not doing the road tax even.
Oh, so it's
but
less.
Depot Bay also has their own separate tax on the fuel, which is a whole nother thing too.
Get it in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, he was like, yeah, gas in New Zealand's like $10 a gallon. It's like the equivalent to 10. So I'm like, maybe it's high everywhere, but it's actually a little less high here, like
right?
Because this.
And I know Europe and gas prices always been higher in Europe. I feel like, but
they have like much better like public transit and smaller cars, and they're just like better equipped to like kind of not drive as much. It seems like.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Trains and whatever, but like I can't. My truck, I don't know what for whatever reason my truck was like not running very good Monday. Like I turned it on, and this is like shaking back and forth, and I was like, dude, this is not cool. Like I'm in Tillamook. My girlfriend lives in Tillamook, and I'm like, I can't drive this 70 miles back to Newport. Like I'm screwed.
Yeah, it's a commute, especially now. I mean, you're probably having to like.
It's like $30 to drive up and back.
Right.
Might be more. I don't know, but
you got a Ford Ranger. You're lucky. I have to drive around a Dodge Silverado or Chevy Silverado. So
right.
I get 12 miles to the gallon. I bet you get like 16. So that's at least a little
No, I think I actually get like 20, like 24.
24. That's amazing.
So. It's a 4-cylinder. But
that's good.
But I'm screwed without it.
Right.
I can't walk to work. I can't. Once I get to work, I need to drive. So it's like I'd be screwed with that.
Yep.
So we gotta pay the gas.
Well, that's a difference too. Living at the coast, I mean, a lot of things are further away. I mean, yeah, if you live right in town in Newport or right in town of Lincoln City, you're all right. But even Lincoln City's set like 7, 8 miles long.
7 miles is miles.
Yeah, yeah. 7 miserable miles in the summertime.
Yes. When are they gonna build a bypass, man?
Right. Yeah. No, they even built one in Lahaina. I go to Maui a lot, and they built a bypass for that reason.
Oh, they did.
So if they can do it on the island, I think they can. No,
I don't think
it's
they
more
want to.
complicated than that. But
I think they. Don't want to.
It's just like building we wouldn't want to build a bypass for Depot Bay. You want people to drive through it.
Well, I heard the bridge there, Connie McCullough and whoever was doing the bridges You know that
Right.
they made it a 2-lane bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
That bay was one bridge, and I didn't know this till later, and maybe you know more, but like there's 2 bridges they built onto it and made it a 4-lane.
Oh, really?
And the reason was that I heard was because they wanted people to go slow so they could enjoy the beauty. And then eventually somebody was like, "Fuck this, we need more lanes."
Right. It's still miserable too. I mean, but they have what? I mean, they need to too. I guess they have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit through there and some crosswalks, and so they have one stoplight, so they get people to stop still, and then it's on the way.
Dude,
but
I freaking hate stopping for the tourists there, though.
Oh yeah, they leave their brains elsewhere. That's what we always tease about. They leave their brains on the dock, and they come out on the boat, and they're
leave them right on the dock.
We love them. We hate them.
Oh, tourists. Yeah, I spent a summer up in Skagway, Alaska, and they
Nice.
They had actually a local little paper. It was like super small, like a tiny thing. I don't even know, but they would have a stupidest thing the tourists have said.
Oh, that's good.
Section of it, and I people were telling me because they have these big clocks painted up on the on a cliff from back like in 1898.
Oh, really? Wow.
And like tourists will get off the boat and be like, "Is that time right?" Twice a day,
Right.
What's the elevation here?
Right.
Sea level.
God. I'd have to be in kind of the moment but there's some funny stuff that they throw around.
What's the funniest thing you can remember?
I know, that's what I'm trying to.
Oh man.
I'll maybe remember it here at some point, but.
Hey, I'm gonna head to the bathroom real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep it on one camera angle.
Keep it on Tyler, man. It's cool.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but all right.
Yeah, that's a beautiful man. Beautiful man, dude.
Katie Wiley says you're the man, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude.
Hey, Katie.
Do you know Katie Wiley?
Yeah, I know Katie just from her networking and Instagram. She came out too on one of the boats at Depot Bay and
heck
did some stuff. So yeah.
Kitchen Wild. Shout out to Katie Wiley. Yeah, she's
Nice.
awesome. She was on the podcast. Yeah,
Cool.
her and her husband, man, they kick some serious butt.
Yeah, they're doing a lot.
She's just
A lot.
they're like foraging and hunting and like her husband like restores those metal Twinkie looking things.
Okay, right.
Airstreams. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm like, why am I spacing? Of course,
No, it's okay.
it's actually I definitely do forget more. It's like, oh, I'm on the air. Oh crap! Now I can't remember. Pressure's on.
Yeah, that's real.
Shit. Yeah, see, we're making pretty good time. How you feeling, man? You feeling good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm having fun, dude. I love talking about the ocean, and just like you're saying,
It's
like
a cool
I do have a
place.
thirst for the salt.
Right. It's funny too. Like, growing up, a lot of just growing up with, as a kid growing up, people want to get out of here. They want to get the hell out of here and see new things and experience, because it's small town and they just get trapped and all of that, especially if you don't have like a direct connection to the ocean and fishing and or like a strong family business or something that ties you here. Most people want to get out of here. And then what I've found over the years, and I think most people would agree, that people come back because they love it here in some capacity, whether it's family connection or maybe they decide they've gone elsewhere. They've maybe got degrees or they've, experienced life in other places and realize how awesome and beautiful it is here. And it's cool to see that, because I feel like I've always had an appreciation for this place, and I've had a lot of connection here too. And once you have that connection with the ocean and you leave, it's like you get this weird anxiety when you're not around it. When you're inland or it's like it brings you in, it calls you, it draws you to it, and it provides like this extra level of peace and clarity and all of that. That's kind of what I've learned over the years.
I'm totally 110% with you, man. Like this place, Central Oregon coast. I mean, you could kind of extend that a little north and a little south, and in the Southern Oregon coast too. But it's different here than Southern Oregon coast, because the Southern Oregon coast is so much more remote.
Right.
There's so many less people. There's so many less things happening, and it's some people, like my buddy Billy and I went down there for an event like a year ago, almost to the day, and we were down there for that crazy hot weekend.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Well, it gets a lot warmer down the southern coast too. Like, I have a friend that lives down there now that lived up here, and he'll text me and be like, "Yeah, it's 78 degrees here." And I'm like, "It's like 54 here and windy, foggy, or whatever."
Yeah,
it's a slightly different climate down there. But if you look at the curvature too, like it kind of turns inward a little bit. So
that kind of makes sense. How you'd be a little more sheltered from the wind, a little bit warmer.
Yep.
But it's that wind. It's that wind that really, because it's super beautiful here, and it's like a mid-level of population.
Right.
What am I saying? What's population? Dayton, what am I doing wrong here? Populizing. Anyway,
What?
people.
Populism?
Populism.
What are you talking about here?
I'm struggling to talk.
Well, I understood
right.
that.
But like, there's like still people here, even though it's kind of remote. It's like there's still people here, and so it's like really cool because you got like a little mid level, but then the wind.
It's populated, you mean?
Populated.
Okay. Yeah, you're fed from Salem and Eugene. And Portland's a couple hours away, and so this is the heart of the coast, really, Newport, and Lake City to, Newport and Seaside will probably hop in there and be like,
Oh, dude.
But they're busy too.
Yeah,
but it's
Seaside's
different.
like a zoo. I went there like mid-pandemic,
Yeah.
and it's like packed with people, and it's like a carnival,
Right.
and they're all wearing masks. It's like, is that really helping you, like when you're packed together like that? And then there's like these people like driving around this bicycle thing. It's like a cart.
Oh yeah.
And they're like in the road, and I'm like waiting. I'm like, oh dude, I'm never coming back here. Why would I want to go here?
It's a little bit different, I guess, but they have their thing up there though. It's popular. A lot of people like to go. But
yeah.
What were we talking about right before that?
Oh, so the beautiful coast, and then like the wind.
Yeah. So it's always funny because I see all these new homes being built, or over the years, and a lot of people have come up here from California or, other places to probably get away from the heat and retire and stuff. But they build these homes, and they put the deck on the northwest side or north side of their house. Well, if you know anything about the Oregon coast in the summertime, high pressure northwest winds, like today,
north wind,
exactly,
like
the perfect example. It's
all day.
Yeah, it's sunny, but it's freezing.
Yeah.
In the wind. So it's always funny to see like, they haven't spent enough time here.
They built their house that way.
Everybody that builds their deck on the south side, they know that it's could be 75, 80 degrees there and protected.
South side.
Right.
Yeah, dude. It was like last summer, and it's just like you're saying. Because it was 2 summers ago. It was summer in 2019. That was so good.
Time's fine.
The wind. There were so many low wind days.
Yep.
And there was south swell for surfing. Secret spots that almost never exist. And it was like, and then since then, it was like it was like a reminder of how it's always like the coast isn't like the best place.
Right.
And all these tourists come, and it's like just
the
cold,
weather
windy.
dictates a lot here for a lot of people. Businesses. It directly affects how well they do at their bottom line at the end of the year, and especially for me, it does. But this year, everybody knows it's been exceptionally wet.
Yeah.
And so we've had just southerly system after southerly, and raining and blowing out of the south, and enough to where it's probably starting to affect people, too. They get that seasonal, depression, whatever, from the weather. At some point, you need your vitamin D, right? And but so it's been interesting to see that this year, and like literally, if you notice, within like a day and a half, it switched to summer. It was like
almost exactly on the solstice.
I know. That's what I was thinking too. Like, 21st, and then it's sunny and beautiful, longest day of the year.
Yeah.
It's like
I wish it was like kind of reliable, because last summer was it was like a nice June, and the summer before was really wet.
Yeah. Do you remember April, May last year was just amazing. March was kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, I do.
April was amazing. And that's why last year was just a good year, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Of course, the COVID pent up demand stuff. But this year it was kind of weird because March was beautiful, nice, and, a lot of people were around. And then April, it was just the weather turned just shitty. I mean,
oh,
yeah. For many days. And it seemed like every weekend there for 4 to 6 weeks, it was raining sideways and blowing. And, a lot of people rely on the weekends to get them through the week, too, for small business. So
you're a father, you're a driver, you're a business owner, but like if you have free time, what do you do?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have a lot of free time.
That's what
I have November and part of December really for quote unquote free time. I mean, if you're talking an hour here, half hour here, I'd get that during the course of the year, but yeah, I kind of set myself up to be extremely busy. Unfortunately, I work better in that type of in that type of life. So it does help me keep going, just get in a groove. Just like, with charter fishing, it's, you work every day during the season. Like we're getting into that time of year now where it's going to be every day through mid-September probably, unless we have a weather day, you know?
Yeah.
We've been grinding away during the springtime too. I started in January, like a day here. It might be a few days in a row and stuff, but you're out there, and it's a grind. I also have the candy store that I don't directly. I own the candy store, one of them in Depot Bay, on the corner there, Depot Bay Candy Company. But I do all the behind the scenes stuff and have a manager that works it. And I actually, it's an old building. It was built in like 1950, 50 something.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of things, but mainly a candy store over the years for like probably 40 plus years. It's been a candy store, but it was also a barber shop at one time. And I think there was a bank there a long time ago or right around in that area. And it's an old building, but it's cool. It's part of Depot Bay is the older buildings and the experience and stuff. And so have people to manage it and help me out there. I can go in there, but I actually can't work in there because it's not accessible and it's grandfathered in, like a lot of places are around here, which is fine. It's more of
so you're
a
not
side
going
project
in there
for me
and winding up some cotton candy or
right, and making chocolates or something. But it's cool. It has homemade caramel corn and stuff and all that. And
I didn't know that was your shop, man. I think we did a video there once. Like some local family came and brought a baby, and it was the cutest freaking baby I ever saw. And it was like, man, like ice cream in its mouth.
Oh my god! They didn't show what happened next, probably, but God. That's when you can film it and then send them on their way.
Yeah, man,
right?
That baby was stoked, dude.
Right.
Dude, doesn't even know what's happening. It's just like,
right.
Just put that stuff in my mouth. I don't know what it is, but it tastes great.
But yeah, no, that was a cool thing. I was able to acquire that building, and the whole time kind of getting back to we started kind of with dockside and stuff too, but it was an investment piece, for me and because there's an annex there for a dockside, and which is a cool just multi-layer part of the company, and just being, because it gets busy up there on the strip, and hundreds of people walk by during the course of a day from all around the world, really, which is cool, and we have an awesome guy that works in there most of the time, and then my other half works in there too.
Yeah.
And but you see and you talk to people all over the world, which is neat. People come to Depot Bay and the Oregon coast. Yeah. Specifically, which is neat. And tells you a lot about what we have here, but yeah, go ahead.
What were you saying?
I've just been hooked up with some information. Apparently in 1997, the sun didn't shine here until July 4th.
Wait, what do you mean?
Christine Bishar.
Oh, yeah?
And she says she's enjoying this podcast so far.
Okay.
Shout out to Christine.
Nice.
Heck yeah. Wait, so it didn't shine till July 1st? You mean like the whole
July
month?
4th.
July 4th?
It was just cloudy and
yeah,
drizzly
apparently
and
she
foggy.
says she's a local.
Whole month of November? Or, June? When I say November.
Until July, yeah, no, it didn't apparently shine.
That's crazy. I know that it was like 1984 or 86 that it was foggy for like 40 some days or like a very long period of time in the summer. And I've heard some stories of people trying to grow, vegetables and just, crops and stuff locally here on the coast. And they didn't do very well that year because it was literally, you got that high pressure, the fog that rolls in when the valley heats up,
Oh, dude, I hate it when that happens.
But you notice that in the fall and then in the winter, if they get fog, we're nice.
Yeah.
And that part's cool. Like I love those days here.
Yeah. The fall, actually, that's the time.
Right.
The best time for the huevos rancheros.
Yeah. I know you start to get that swell come in a little bit, but you also have that combination of a little bit of summer weather, but a little bit of winter swell starting to show up. And we call it the Labor Day lump.
Really?
Actually, yeah, it's the kind of little joke that we talk about in Depot Bay with the charter guys. Yeah. So it seems like, and we're just dead tired by Labor Day because we've been grinding all spring, summer, or whatever. But come Labor Day lump, it always shows up. It's either a week before or Labor Day weekend that can be really busy, kind of like the last hurrah before the end of the summer, before it starts to slow down. But yeah, it's funny.
Do you prefer whale watching or charter fishing?
It's a good question. I'm a pretty competitive person, and so I like the fishing aspect of it. I mean, whale watching can get competitive because you're wanting to find a whale, I guess, but
you compete with the other boats. You're like, oh, I found 6 whales. How many whales did you find?
No, not like that. It's more of an internal competition, right?
Yeah.
For me.
Okay.
Especially fishing and stuff, which, if you're a customer, obviously you want that.
Yeah.
But no, I like whale watching because you can relax and drive the boat and you can talk to people and educate them or just tell them what's going on. And
are you also like on the intercom and you're like kind of touring them? Or
yeah,
you're
on the PA system talking about what you see, the whales and different aspects of Depot Bay. And
do you got any good jokes?
And I'm not really a jokester that much.
Yeah. Some people just kind of start, like they do it. They say the same thing every day,
right?
And then they eventually just start saying stupid shit, and they find something that kind of fits. That's what we did with selling. I used to be a blender salesman. It was the same thing.
Right.
You're saying the same thing all around. It's like, okay, well,
right.
I'd say the stupidest stuff, man. I used to pull this little dinosaur out, and I'd stuff his head in like ice cream in front of this crowd of people, and the parents were just like, "What is happening?"
Oh my god!
Like, come on, kids. Xanthor, the vegetarian dinosaur. so stupid.
Oh, really? Just draws their attention, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like you're desensitized from the tourists because they're so often. You're not afraid to do stupid things.
At some point, you get an autopilot because you're so tired. You go with what you can just spit out without even thinking. And other days, or you just certain things come up and you say things. You're like, where'd that come from? But it's funny because when you're getting repetitive, when the deckhands, they'll start repeating the same thing that you're saying, and you're like, okay, I need to switch it up here because they're either outside and they're like teasing people that here, listen, this is what's coming next, or they'll just be like whispering in your ear, trying to distract you or something. But it's funny.
Yeah, the grind though, man. How many when you stop like in a like average?
I mean, some boats start in March. Usually, it's kind of the time when it really, you start to get a little bit busier, and then spring break. If the weather's nice, spring break can be pretty awesome. Good push, and then you kind of grind through the middle of the week. And weekends are usually always busy, through the springtime and stuff. But I've been starting in January if the weather's nice and working. January and February, and we get a lot of nice days, and the fishing's really good during that time of year. And but the fishing can be good all year too. It just depends on weather.
Yeah. I mean, I only went out in one boat to catch fish for the purpose of filming it, and they got some big all lingcod, and it was like, I mean, it seems like the fishing's pretty good around here.
It is, and it varies where you're at and how you fish too. But I mean, today, it was like a banner day for lingcod with the high pressure system. It was a really strong current out of the north, and colder water cooled down like 10 degrees, and last 2-3 days.
Yeah.
And because we've had all these southerly systems like I've been talking about, and that warms the water up. And so it's good. We need the upwelling, those northerly currents, out of Gulf of Alaska that provide nutrients. And that's when you see the water, kind of churned up and it can turn like a darker, cloudier green, brown. Those are the upwelling, and it's really nutrient dense and stuff. We need that around here. But it also brings a good lingcod bite when, the water cools off and you get those strong currents. Like today we got 40 of them on our boat, which is awesome. Yeah. I mean, but like it can be a trade-off. So like the rockfish bite kind of slows down a little bit.
Okay.
You still catch them, but the lingcod are just going crazy. And so,
I mean, that doesn't sound too bad to me.
No,
I love rockfish, but I think lingcod are a little bit more desirable.
Right. People don't usually complain when you're catching those. But like with the southerly systems, the rockfish just go crazy because the water warms up and they just get super active, and they'll feed on the surface and fin. And, there's a lot of food and stuff that come through with southerly systems too. So, for the rockfish, they go crazy. And that's kind of what we've noticed. You'll catch lingcod too, but it's a different kind of bite.
Yeah,
for sure.
So you grew up here. You're like taking people out all the time. I mean, do you still eat lots of fish? Or you're like sick of it, and you're like,
eat lots of fish. I love to cook too, and so yeah, I'd always try in different ways. Like I made miso black cod a couple weeks ago. It was awesome. Just marinate it and
sounds good.
Broil it. Yeah, super good. Green onion, just a little bit of rice. And
do you Traeger it all?
Stuff. And no, I don't. I want to get into that. My buddy does, but yeah. So, and then, I did halibut tacos last night, actually.
Oh, yeah.
And there are definitely perks to the job in that regard.
Halibut's so good. I cooked it really good once on a barbecue. And then another time I totally like effed it up, and it was like dry, and I was just like, what did I do? This is like an atrocity.
Sometimes if you get like the big fillets out of Alaska, or if you catch a big fish out here, even, if it's super thick, you have to be strategic about how you cook it.
Oh, because you can't get to the middle very easily.
Right. So if you're going to sear it, you got to sear it off and throw it in the oven, or just, even if it's super thick, maybe butterfly it or something. And, so it's not quite like, 2-3 inches thick, there's definitely a threshold where you can overcook it, and where it's just, not quite as good of a fillet.
Fish is so good. Like what would you like, what's your like best recipe, or like your favorite go-to,
I mean, just if it's fresh, especially with like tacos, any seasoning that you like, and just searing it pretty quickly. But I like to do, and like everybody likes it really. I haven't really met anybody that doesn't, is like the flour egg panko.
Okay.
And you just sear it, and, if you want it really crispy, you just do like canola oil, vegetable oil, or avocado oil or something, like with a high smoke temperature or whatever. And then, you can mix in all sorts of seasonings and stuff at your different levels, right? If you want to put seasoning in your flour and your egg and your panko and stuff, so you layer that.
Yeah.
And then you gotta make homemade tartar sauce too if you're gonna do it that way. So that's kind of the big one too, right?
I've made homemade tartar sauce. I tried to make my own homemade mayonnaise, and I suck at it. Like, it's like
that would be good too, actually.
Well, we tried to force it, and then it was all weird, and
right,
because I wanted mayonnaise with like a good like healthy oil in it.
Right.
But I didn't know mayonnaise was so tricky. You have to like drizzle the oil into the other stuff slowly, and if it mixes too fast, it's like just
Right. No, I gotcha.
Like tartar, man.
But yeah, homemade sauce. Right. So you got to get good relish, dill, capers. Some people like finely or minced shallot in there just a little bit to create more flavor.
Oh, shallot.
Salt and pepper, and some people like to put a little lemon juice in there. Take it or leave it there. But you can, it definitely can create the experience if you have good tartar sauce.
Do you get all of the fish? Like you're getting the rockfish and the lingcod.
Yeah,
like
salmon, halibut, tuna if they're in close. We're commercial fish, and we're not out there for more than 12 hours.
Yeah.
For us.
Yeah.
So if they don't come in, then we got to buy it. Off the dock in Newport or something, you know. But yeah, we do fresh albacore and black cod, and oh yeah. Probably my favorite fish, though. There's two other fish that I really enjoy, other than the fish that we have here, because the fish we have here are amazing, and Dungeness crab obviously is.
Yeah.
You know, king crab's good too, but Dungeness is awesome. Is, you know, a good like sushi grade ahi. You can't go wrong with that. Like if you go, you know, Southern Cal or Hawaii or whatnot, you do like poke bowls and all of those things. I mean, once you have like fresh ahi, I mean, it's a different level of awesome.
Wait, did you say you can get that? No.
Like Southern Cal, or if you go to Hawaii, or I mean, you can get like, it's not quite the same, but you can get Whole Foods once in a while. They have specials and stuff on fresh ahi, but and then another one, it's expensive, but it's a splurge once in a while. Worth trying is Chilean sea bass. It's a different level of fish. Chilean sea bass. Yep. It's super white, super buttery, oily. It's not like black cod oily. It's just like melt in your mouth, rich.
Oh yeah.
White fish. Yeah. It's a cool one.
We need to introduce an invasive species.
Right. Yeah, we
Chilean.
do. Yeah. But no, I like pretty much every seafood. The oysters here are awesome, and yeah, it's neat.
Yeah.
We have a lot here.
The seafood, last night, buddy's birthday party up at Whalen Island. And they had so many cockle clams. I think they had 4 people and 4 limits. Is like a ridiculous amount of cockle clams.
My buddy just got some razors out here, and oh, they're so good. I mean, you definitely have to work at cleaning them up and doing all that, but it's worth it to get fresh razors out here.
I grew up and I didn't like seafood at all. I thought it was weird and gross, and I was super picky. And at one point, I was like, "Dude, I need to be less picky because there's like so much more to enjoy."
Right.
And so it's been a long journey, but like I think I eat most food on the coast. I think there's a few things that are still.
And if you have one bad experience when you're growing up, you know, it changes. You know, and you shy away from it usually. And a lot of people don't get fresh seafood, so they have a different viewpoint or perspective until they do.
I was in Las Vegas at one point, and they had some sort of seafood there, and I was like, dude, why would I buy seafood here?
I've had the same experience.
Okay.
I don't know, but it's like, I guess you can freeze it and fly it in, and it should be as good, but I'm like,
Yeah, some places fly it in fresh too. It's crazy. You know, they probably are rethinking that option now with the prices and stuff, but
do you think we're screwed?
I don't know. I hope that in a couple of years or something that things change. I think it's hard to say, you know. I mean, we kind of went through it, not quite to this level, but it was in 2008, right?
Yeah.
But you know, we're also 14 years down the road, so you know, it's just another version of that. We'll see what happens. But
yeah, I have no idea. I'm just like, I want to be. I'm like super aware right now. I'm like,
it changes the way you think, and you have to be strategic about things.
I mean, you know, like you seem like you're, no matter what, you're gonna, like, your job security's there. Like, people are gonna go fishing. There's still tourism to some degree.
Yeah, we hope that. I mean, you know, obviously people want to go on big trips. You know, Hawaii, and if they're in this area, go to Florida, or you know, wherever people go on big trips. Maybe even Alaska. I think Alaska's doing all right, but you know, we hope that people maybe come to the coast as, you know, a secondary option if they didn't get to do that. Maybe their flight was canceled, you know, due to the lack of pilots and flight attendants and things, because that's an issue right now too. But
and tickets are through the roof.
Yeah, and so maybe they stay a little local, and you know, if they don't normally like to do this, maybe they give us people a try down here. You know,
Depot Bay is rad. It really is, man. Like, there's like this little hike out to that North Rock. I don't even know what that's even called, but like, I totally wouldn't recommend it for the faint-hearted though, because
there are people out there today too. Yeah. There was a whale right in there, and people were out watching it, and a lot of people hike out. It's North Point out there, but no, it's cool.
You know that house that's like right there, and it's just like no trespassing, and it's like super aggro. Right. It's like I've never seen anybody there. It's like, where are you people at? You got this beautiful house right here, and like nobody's there.
Right.
I'd be living it up there.
No, they could sell that piece for a high dollar, even if it's, pretty old, crappy.
$10 jillion. Jeez, I bet you the real estate, you just chop the house down and.
There was one house that was just put on the market in my neighborhood too. That was, you can tell they're trying to play up on what's happening out there. There's going to be a shift, I think, soon here. But yeah, it's interesting what's happening. I mean, there's only so many Ocean View lots left too now, especially in Depot Bay. I mean, there's very, very few.
Yeah.
So
the view there is just ridiculous. It's like, it's so weird how close you are to the deep water.
Yep. It's super convenient, for us. I'm getting back to the fishing part of things, but we can fish right by that bell buoy out there if we want to. I mean, there's fish there. There's reefs. I mean, we can fish within a half a mile. Of
Are you not
town.
allowed to fish closer, or is it just not good?
Oh no, it's great. We can. I'm just saying, like when you leave the harbor, you can go to the bell buoy, which is like half a nautical mile away, and go from there right against the rocks paralleling coastline and catch fish. Where a lot of places they have to go, like friend in Westport, he has to go 15, 18 miles to catch rockfish and
Really?
lingcod. They have, like one small spot locally, but the majority of their reefs, and so when fuel prices go up like this, they have a whole nother issue to deal with because they're very limited. And, Newport has a lot of reefs too, fairly close by. But it's cool, we're Depot Bay. And then a lot of people actually like that. They come to Depot Bay and potentially Newport too. But so they don't have an hour or two boat ride just to catch rockfish or lingcod,
Yeah.
So
especially if it's like really choppy out there,
Right. Oh yeah, like right now. Look out there. It's rough out there right now. It's not a swell issue. It's just wind.
Yeah. Oh, the wind. Yeah. So a lot of people get seasick out there?
It's a percentage. I mean, it's surprising actually, and can never figure it out completely. Because depending on the day, we did have one person. We had maybe like 2 or 3 people today on the whale watching trips, but that's over like 4 trips and like 120 people or something. But maybe 3 or 4 got sick. Some days if you get the right group, you can have fishing half of your people sick, and it really depends. It could be a really nice day and people still get sick, or it could be really rough and people don't.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That makes a big difference.
Whether the boat's moving or not. Maybe on a whale watching trip you're not really stopped drifting where the boat's rocking.
Mm-hmm.
It still rocks, but you're moving forward, staying airflow and all that, where as soon as the boat stops, sometimes people just, that's their cue.
I saw a buddy get seasick, and it looked like one of the worst sicks you can get. Oh. And I've never been seasick, but I went inside the boat because I was messing around with some gear, and I started feeling a little funny. I was I better get out of here,
Oh, even some of the most experienced crew, if they get down into the forecastle or middle bilge areas or engine room and it's warm down there, or they can't see what's going on and the boat's rocking around, you'll start to feel something.
Have you ever gotten
I've never been sick, no, and I think if I did get sick out there, it'd depend on what kind of sick it was. Some people can puke and rally and they're fine.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, oh, I feel so much better after that, and other people are literally, they puke and they're done. They're down.
Oh, and then
so they have to either sleep or just get through it, and just.
Can you just power through it and then you're good?
Some people can. They can puke and fish and they're fine, or maybe they just puke once because.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of people I think psych themselves out too, and they're worked up about it, and then that doesn't help. But I don't know. I feel like if I started to get sick, I don't know if I would. It depend on how bad, but I don't know if I would do it.
Are there any secret sailor cures or whatever?
I mean, it's everything from, some people say ginger, some people say the boning or whatever it is, and scopolamine and the patches and non-drowsy Dramamine.
Yeah.
Once the night before, once the morning of, just eat a real light breakfast, or don't eat. If you don't eat in the morning, don't eat. Just like stick to your normal routine and try to get some sleep and don't drink too much. I mean, we get a lot of people hungover on the boat because they're on vacation, right?
Oh,
they're
yeah.
partying or
Yeah.
doing whatever, and it ruins the whole trip for them because you go out on a boat that's rocking and rolling around and you're hungover, and
Yeah.
it can be hard enough on land. So
You usually leave in the morning?
yeah, we leave 6 o'clock in the morning this time of year. It
Oh,
ranges anywhere from
yeah.
6 to 8, but this, the bulk of the season, it's 6 in the morning.
So people aren't usually like drunk or anything.
Oh, they're drunk.
At 6 in the morning?
Oh, you bet.
Wow.
What if they went to bed at 2, 3 in the morning?
Oh.
Too?
I mean, they're on
or maybe
vacation.
they didn't go to bed. We get that too. You see everything out
Dude,
there.
that's bananas.
We have people starting to drink at 5 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning. I mean, you see everything out there.
I have stayed up late enough and drank enough to wake up and go to work and still been like intoxicated.
Right.
It's been a long time though. I was like 19,
Right.
20. I can't do that no more.
It's funny. Yeah. No, we see everything, and it's unfortunate for them, but they're paying to go out,
Yeah.
and so that's at that point it's their problem, I guess, but it could be our problem. But
Oh yeah, dude. I bet you've seen a lot of like people like blah, like
Oh, yeah.
projectile. Like,
yeah.
do they puke on the deck, or they usually make it to the?
Well, we
the-
strongly encourage the rail. We have buckets in the cabin, but if they,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
people have puked in the garbage can. Some people have, diesel stoves, and I mean if they have a space in the cabin, most people have found a place to puke, like whether it's the seats or the floor or it gets pretty bad at times.
Oh,
but
dude.
people are in an unfamiliar place, the boat's rocking around, and some people don't even know they're getting sick until they get sick,
Yeah.
especially kids too. But
You have like a thing you tell them. You're like, hey, it'll pass. You'll be good.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, we offer them water sometimes, or paper towels or whatever to power through. But
Crackers or something. You're supposed to eat bread or.
you can. Some people, they just need to close their eyes and lay down or something. I mean, some people say that if your eyes are closed and you're trying to nap or whatnot, that you don't have anything to really focus on, and so it helps. But
I don't know if you've ever if you smoke weed at all, but I used to drink and then I would smoke a bunch of weed and get the spins.
right,
And it's like, for me, I kind of like it. I kind of like it, but
Right.
because it stops. If I lay down, I'll feel like crazy. It's like crazy. Like I'm like, whoa.
You'll tilt your head back and you'll feel like you're falling backwards.
Yeah,
Right,
Yeah,
right.
something kind of crazy like that, and then it'll eventually it'll kind of stop. I'm like, whoa, that was fun, and then.
Right.
But maybe that's why I don't get seasick,
It's funny you say that too, because we get a lot of people now that will do it like in the parking lot, or
Yeah.
they're not supposed to bring it on the boat because it's federally documented, but
Oh yeah.
vessel. But people get do it a lot beforehand just to try to help the nausea and
Oh, weed.
yeah.
Because it numbs the
Oh, yeah.
stomach. I didn't think of that.
and it seems to work. I
Really?
haven't taken a poll or anything, but
I bet you'd rather have a bunch of high people than a bunch of drunk people.
you were right. Oh yeah,
They're
you
just,
get some
probably
pretty tough
really chill.
people. They get, you have your happy drunks and you have your belligerent, angry ones. So there was one out today actually on my dad's boat. He's pretty tough to deal with, but
bummer.
yeah, it was unfortunate. But fortunately, he had the right crew on board. If you have a lot of kids or something, it kind of sucks, and you have to deal with the situation, which you do.
So you guys have kids on there? Or is that
Oh yeah, we take a lot. The kids are some of the best fishermen we have, and
really?
And the ladies out there, absolutely.
Oh, I guess I'm thinking of like really young ones.
Yeah, I mean it's really parental discretion there.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
People take their, because it's either that or they can't go, and they
So-
want to go, and if they feel comfortable with it, that's totally fine.
Copy that.
There's a big usually, cabin for people to hang out in.
See, I didn't know that. I guess the one boat I went on, they didn't allow at least kids below a certain age, and they were like saying, if those kids are not having a good time, then nobody's having a good time. And,
Right.
And maybe that's not really the case. Maybe that's just their policy. But
most likely, they're gonna go through the whole spectrum of having a good time or not.
Yeah.
During the course of the trip, it's a roller. I mean, that life's a roller coaster ride for kids. So,
I know if I was a kid, I would love to be on one of those boats.
Absolutely. And you got to start them young too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You got a couple kids. How old are
Yeah,
your
I
kids?
do. One's 5.5, one's 2.5, and the 5.5-year-old, she loves to go out on the ocean. She does really well.
Yeah.
And we don't push it, I mean,
Yeah.
we want them to go out and enjoy it themselves. We also got to get them out there if they do like it, too, but just to get them comfortable with everything. And the 5.5-year-old, she enjoys whale watching, and she goes out there and catches some fish. She doesn't go out on a lot of like charter trips and stuff, but if we go out for fun fishing, she'll hop on and stuff. And the 2.5-year-old, she likes the really flat days still. She's still a little young.
Yeah.
And but my 5.5-year-old, when she was that age, she actually really liked it. So we'll see.
Different
Yeah.
deal. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do they call that? Sea legs? Maybe she was born with sea legs.
Right.
5.5-year-old.
Yeah, no, she's adventurous, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Heck yeah,
It's
dude.
funny.
Okay, there's one of those questions. It's like I keep wanting to ask you about the whales and if you've seen any like breach, but
Yeah,
you're
we
always
see-
talking about something else, and I'm like, oh man.
Oh, really?
Whales.
Yeah, no, we see gray whales don't have the same patterns as like humpback whales. Humpback whales are breaching a lot, their tails slapping, and they're active. And gray whales are more of just they're chill, basically. For the most part,
Kind of floating around.
just grazing, up and down the coastline all summer long. And if they get, super active, they will breach. It's just rare.
Yeah.
You'll see it a few times during the course of a summer, maybe 5, and just kind of, but you might not always see it. It's just, they might do it that day,
Yeah.
and you hear about it or something, but, they'll spy hop a little bit where they kind of stick their head out of the water and kind of jump forward a little bit, where you see more of their body than just spouting, you
Yeah.
know? And they'll do what they call fluking, where they're feeding, sticking their head down closer on the bottom with their tail if they're in shallow water, and their tail's up, and it looks like they're kind of like a shark.
Oh yeah.
Finning
I've
around.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, which is cool to see. And
Have you ever?
and every once in a while they'll just kind of, especially in like the springtime when they're migrating around spring break and stuff, they'll swim around the boat and under sometimes and just pop their nose right up, and spout by the boat. And when you're just drifting there, they come up to you occasionally. Doesn't happen often, but
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. So it's different behavior from like humpback whales and stuff. But
Yeah.
we've had blue whales offshore here too. Not offshore, but offshore, but where we can get to them like on a 1 or 2 hour trip. A really cool period was it was August 10th or right around that time of 2010. We had some blue whales in the area, which if you've ever experienced blue whales compared to gray whales, you're talking, average adult gray whales like 45 feet in length, right? Where the blue whales were like 80 plus,
So like double.
to 100. Yeah. So twice the size of the vessel most people are on, and or if you're in a Zodiac, obviously you're in a different ballgame there. But
Is that what it was like when you saw it? Like
it's incredible. Like the tail, when they do a tail or deep dive, it's as wide as the boat, and 15, 16. It's wide. It's just a whole nother ball game there, and the sound it makes when it spouts, and
Oh, it's way different.
it's just
What does it sound
yeah,
like? Is it like
it's-
deeper?
it's more like it's not like a flute, but it's a different sound along with the spouting noise of the exhale. Like it has a kind of phonic tone, but I don't know. Anyway, it's a different sound than a gray whale. It's neat. It's powerful.
I've definitely been pretty close to some gray whales. I was at the Aquina Head and right down there at the quarry.
Yeah.
And God, it was just right there off the rocks, like kind of like about where you are, and I was here, except maybe I was a little higher up. I could have jumped on its back, man.
Oh, yeah.
I could have rode that whale.
They're just feeding there. They might kind of like rub up against even a little bit, and yeah, they're just being lazy at times too.
It's like Maybe that's the real sea cow.
Right.
It kind of like you talking about grazing. It's like it's the sea cow.
It's funny you say that because a lot of my deckhands tease me because I'm always like, yeah, they're like cows in a pasture, grazing up and down the coastline, and and they give me shit about that all the time. But essentially, that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just storing up their fat in layers for their migration, south, and because when they migrate south, they usually don't feed, and when they're down there, they don't feed. They don't have enough food.
Yeah.
To sustain
they go
the
down
whale
there and breed or
population.
whatever.
Yeah, it's just like when the humpbacks go to Maui, in Hawaii, in that area, they do the same thing as the gray whales, mating, calving in that area. So if you like to go to Hawaii or if you go over there, January through March if you see the humpback whales, it's incredible. It doesn't ruin whale watching for you, but it's like one of the most incredible whale watching experiences you can have.
I have never been to Hawaii, but I my girlfriend worked there. She's a turtler. She was saving turtles.
A lot of turtles there. It's cool.
And I've heard it from several people. You put your head in the water, and you can hear the humpbacks and whatever they're doing.
You can.
Have you heard that? I've never.
Yeah, you can.
I've never heard it.
It's completely different. Gray whales are not like that. Not that they're not cool or anything.
I wonder if they don't talk at all. Like I've never heard anything about.
Yeah, they don't have that communication. I don't know. Not a whale biologist.
You know Carrie Newell?
Oh yeah, I know Carrie.
She is freaking hilarious.
She is.
she's like so freaking nuts.
Yeah,
she's awesome. Her dog, the one that can smell whales and like barks at them and
right.
Like,
no, she's dedicated.
Dude, she's all about those whales.
Oh yeah,
she's like legitimate. Like she has like really good pictures too. Like she'll catch the whales breaching and stuff, and it's like.
Oh yeah, she has all the whales documented that come through. Like, and she gives them names and all that. Oh yeah, we have one in particular that we all kind of agree on to what the name should be. She creates her own names for them, and we kind of go along with it. But one scarback, and it was hit by it wasn't a propeller, but it was a harpoon.
A harpoon?
I believe that's what they say.
No way.
I don't know if that's completely 100% confirmed, but so it has a huge scar on its back, and the whale sea lice have kind of colonized it, and they're orange, and so it's very, very visible, but it's it's a protection layer so it doesn't get infected. But no, it's but scarback comes back year after year after year to Depot Bay, dating back like 20, 30 years. So it's pretty cool.
And but she names them all, but like everybody else might have names. So there's a lot that are like
she names one's Ginger, one's Marissa. It's like
hey, it's Marissa.
Yeah, it's like okay, but it's fine. We'll go along with it.
That's awesome.
But
you guys interact very much, or?
Yeah. Oh, we all communicate. I mean, Depot Bay is pretty tight.
Yeah.
We all have to work with each other, and have worked with each other for years, and grown up around each other, and so it's a tight knit community in Depot Bay. I mean, it's a small,
pretty
natural harbor, right? So, no, it's kind of a fishbowl in there, but.
She had those restaurants on either side of the bridge. There was Whale Bites and Sea Bites. I don't remember which is which, but one of them, they got rid of one of them, and now it's like they have like a little Burger 101 over there.
Yeah.
Have you been in there?
Oh yeah, we go there a lot because it's good, quick.
I love Burger 101. I haven't tried that one though.
Burgers.
I've only been to the one in Lincoln City.
It's the same. Yeah. No, we get it in between trips, and it's when you need that greasy food, to get you through. It's a good fit. It's right next to the candy store too, so it's kind of convenient.
Oh yeah,
right?
You gotta check out the candy store. Get to work.
Right.
Yeah, I'll get my 202.
Yeah.
With some jalapenos if they have them, or bacon.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if they still do that, but like, there was like a certain day you can only get bacon.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing now, but I think
definitely changed it.
It's either 202 or 303.
Ooh, I've never tried a 303, man. I tried one of those fries once though, and it was like fries with burger and cheese. and it was good. But like I got the fries and a burger, and it was like, I think
Right.
I think it's a little more than I need because it was just a burger. It was just cut up.
Oh,
and it was
really?
on the fries with cheese on it.
No, okay, yeah, I haven't
I mean,
had that
I
before.
didn't have any problem eating it.
Right.
But I usually go straight for a 202. I feel like a 303 would be fine. The grilled onions for me. What about you?
Yep, grilled onions. For
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Can't go wrong with that.
Burger 101. Dude.
Guys.
Dude, I think we're making pretty good time. How you feeling?
Yep. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
It is 8:30.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
I think this
Yeah.
is perfect. Let's call it a podcast. And Tyler, dude, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
Dude, you're
Yeah,
the man,
appreciate
man.
it,
I feel
Casey.
like we got so salty during this podcast.
Right?
It was perfect.
So much to cover. A lot of different things and angles, aspects.
Yeah, dude. Well, next week, I can't remember who it is. I'll tell y'all later. I want to think about it right now. Like, I've got all this other crap I got to do. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Tyler, for coming.
Yeah,
And
appreciate it.
have a good night, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.
Cool, guys. Yeah, it does get hot in here, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's still kind of warm. It's like it started warming up toward the end. And done.
Nice.
Dunsky.